Thank you, Macarena, for the introduction. And now I'm unmuted to then start sharing a Business Central, right? Well, first, what we have just verified in our last webinars is regarding inventory and management with multiple locations, right? We created different warehouses. We created even we show how to prepare a product, etc., etc., etc. Now, we can nevertheless in Business Central control that inventory, simulating that we have one warehouse, one main warehouse, multiple locations, and so forth, right? We need to know the basics about how to start planning our inventory, because later in the other webinars, we are going to see replenishing and WMS functions, which is the most advanced modules or functionality that we have to automate our processes. That as well could be more complex if we do not understand these, so to speak, basic aspects, right? So let's just jump into the functionality. The idea of my environment today, I'm in a Kronos USA company. I'm going to change to present my screen as a business manager or inventory manager as well. And start sharing any of these role centers. So we have different screens designed for different roles, for accountant, for purchaser, and all of them will be see only information related to the specific activities like inbound sales orders, or the accounting will be see charts, the chart of accounts, and so forth. Today, I want to see, well, the outbound transaction, inbound transaction, and internal, because I have different flavors of warehousings, right? And I'm going to move inventory. I need to understand how to work. Okay, so since I can see here the activities for internal, outbound and inbound transactions, let me explain you this. The inventory manager is always trying to review what is expected, basically, okay, for any given day. The first thing that we're going to do within Business Central is verify all these KPIs, okay, because you are going to need to review. For instance, I have one sales order that I need to check today, okay. This is one example of my KPIs that I always check. The inbound as well, okay. The inbound is what is expected to be received. So to speak, this could be a purchase orders, a purchase order, a return, or even a transfer order. So in this case, I have expected purchase orders that I need to receive, okay? And plus, if you remember, I'm going to have, for instance, here I see a main warehouse, right? A purchase order document that is going to be received in the main warehouse, right? Plus, then here I have other documents related to manufacturing, and they are inside our warehouse. There we have a place inside our warehouses that we call the inputs, okay? So they can just move items when they want to manufacture into one single room and so forth, right? So that is basically the idea. We are going to see activities on a daily basis that we need to complete, basically. And then as well, we have others like movements. Just to recall, we are going to see replenishing. We have two ways of replenishing, and just for you to remember, one of them is for the purchases and replenish our warehouses coming from the demand maybe, or even our own inventory levels. And we have movements, internal movements, we call them, because we can replenish your sales bins. So internally, we are going to say, for instance, hey, I want to create one transaction that moves different items. For instance, bottled water, right, will be moved from taken, look at this, from the bulk and placed in another area. This could be, for instance, let's just select now, move the same bottled water, but I'm gonna move it to the picking zone. Why not? It's not a problem for me, right? This is an internal movement, okay, inside a warehouse from one zone to the other, which I'm going to explain in other webinars how to design warehouses. But first of all, we are checking type of transactions that we have to control, and we expect to have always inbound, outbound, internal. Internal as well could be a transfer order among different warehouses. So getting that we are going to need to see what we have as back order. And this is our backlog, back order. Some purchase orders that I'm expecting to receive a couple of shipments that I need to complete today, right? This is the backlog that we need to complete. Preferably, we need to move all these items, right? That we understand all these transactions, right? And we need to do it preferably before the end of the week. And as well, we expect to always have control on our negative inventories. So you see how complex this could be, right then? And I know that you might be actually suffering so once in a while because the item was not even correct, or maybe you were receiving more at the wrong cost and so forth, right? Which is other type of adjustments, but that will be at the end. Let's just continue with the basics. So let's just go what the transfer, the inventory managers needs to understand. Transfer order, purchase order, physical inventory, picking, put away, shipments, receipt. So the inventory manager is always the one who has more action, okay? All of these transactions that I have here, right, are actions that an inventory manager could create. And let me explain you. The idea is that, first of all, you are going to be able to do manually, which is the first column. I put it for our webinar this way. So first of all, I can create the manual transaction, transfer, purchase, physical inventory, all of this could be manual and with handhelds, correct? So we can implement it for you if you need handhelds for any given a warehouse or for all of them if needed, which is not always the case, right? Then we have other type of transactions that we are going to see throughout this month, these webinars. We're going to reclassify. We have seen how to item trace, which is lot control and so forth. Okay, movement, pick, put away worksheet. These things that are called in Business Central, we call them worksheets, just for you to remember this part, will be for a manager to delegate work. Because in a worksheet is not only like, okay, give me the physical inventory quantity and just we start counting. But here in the worksheets, okay, for instance, the requisition worksheet, we can planify what we want. So I'm opening what we call the worksheet, okay? And in a worksheet, look at this. This will be something that we attain to do through the webinars. We are going to use a replenishing function that is creating new messages, which means I want new documents because I need to replenish my Heineken beer. Please cancel these other Corona beers that were requested by I don't know who, but in the same screen, I have what my people needs and what Business Central, after reviewing the entire universe, is telling me what to create, what to purchase, what to cancel, sometimes even what to transfer. Let me see, right? So this is the last, it can change the quantity in one of our purchases. We can reschedule purchase orders and so forth, right? So we as well have an assistant to help us reviewing our universe even after completing our first document that we are creating, like purchasing for the first time, transferring from the first time, okay? So don't worry about the inventory management, even though we know it's complicated, just because of the quantity and the timing that we need to review always. Okay, so in order to work, then we're gonna use one single configuration that I'm going to explain today that we call stock keeping units. That is going to help our work easier. The thing is that we are going to start configuring a lot, okay? So we are gonna be more specific. In my demo company, just to have it as an example, I have different type of items, okay? I have hardware, I have food, okay, because all of this inventory, all of these items require different type of inventory processes, okay? Look at this, I have beverages, meat, etc. You get it now. So how do we control all of this together and in an very easy way? The first thing that I want just to explain, I'm going to open one of my items, which is a Heineken beer. And it's very important for me always knowing the physical inventory. Look at this. Quantity on hand is 0. quantity on purchase orders, nevertheless, is very high so far, okay? And our items regarding inventory, we're gonna use one single unit of measure, okay? Now, that unit of measure can be then converted. We are just going to add, we explain this through our webinar for designing items, okay? Because of the availability that we are going to review now, I'm going to see my unit of measures, because guess what? I purchase in pallets, but I sell pieces and cases of 6. That's very good. And this is good because normally the most complex items have more units of measures or need to a bill of materials that later need to be assembled. But everything will be residing on the actual functionality of the unit of measure. Okay, all of them need to be created. Please use them. And the good thing about the unit of measure is that we are going to be able now to as well cost, because the unit cost of one can in this example costs $2. But how much cost a pallet? Well, that needs to be reviewed with the vendor, and we are going to record all those costs, okay? The thing here, look at this as well, we have a price, and whenever we sell even a pallet, if this strange situation comes, Business Central calculates everything for us and so forth, right? Okay, so regarding the inventory management, the thing that I'm going to recommend, first of all, is that you create your item, and then later we are going to extend the functionality to other warehouses. Why? And only if that exists, we want to actually work on warehouse level now to say, in my main warehouse, I will be always handling pallets. But then I will be transferred the Heineken beer to another warehouse, and in that warehouse, I want to stock the item in cases of 6, okay, or 6-pack. How do we do that? And even they have different costs. Let me explain. First, what I'm going to explain the concept of the stock keeping unit that help us to monitor our inventory automatically throughout a network of more than one warehouse. And only if this is needed. This is really good for replenishing processes. Let me explain the stock keeping unit concept. I'm going to create, and I'm going to use the function stock create stock keeping unit for now for one location. But as well, we can define the location and variant. Okay, what is the variant and what is the location? Okay, because we are going to create the stock keeping unit. First of all, the stock keeping unit is going to be creating one definition of the same item, but for one single warehouse where I want to say, I receive my items in the main warehouse. Okay, don't send this to other type of warehouses. Okay, and then this is the thing that I'm going to do first. I'm going to create my first stock keeping unit with this function, right? Once again, we have the function create stock keeping unit. Okay, very good. After that, I want to just verify within the warehouse the stock keeping units that are created, because I have created one for the main warehouse. Very good. Let's just start planning immediately. At least we are going to learn the concepts that we are going to work, but through the implementation process of if your supply chain is quite complex, please don't hesitate to call us, because we will be there then for helping you, not only with the basics that we present in webinars, okay? But whenever we create one item and we want to start replenishing, okay, and this is just the very beginning of the replenishing process, we're going to need to tell Business Central how do we really want it. In this case, we can manufacture it, production order. We can purchase it. That's why I'm indicating that this is purchased in the, guess what, in the main warehouse. But as well, this could be assembly, which is a light version of manufacturing, like kitting, okay? I want my Heineken beer, but I'm going to kit this product with ice. Okay, not a problem. I'm going to then assembly in this warehouse. Okay, but just to start the beginning, the first step is to purchase always. Okay, here in the stock keeping unit card, we're gonna have different options. First of all, we are gonna get rid of the cost, because when I establish that the item will be purchased in one warehouse, the cost of the vendor to provide that item might be different because we might have different regions, okay? So that's why we recommend sometimes, if that's necessary, if you have multiple warehouses, to create a stock keeping unit card. Right here, I'm going to record the value of my Heineken beer, or the real value that cost me or well, when I purchase it to actually get the item received in this warehouse. But then we can create another, and the cost might be completely different because the vendor charges more, assurance, freight services, and so forth. So remember, our items have a different cost in the different warehouses. And with the stock keeping unit card, we are measuring that from now on, meaning that we're going to record our history, currently completely blank. Look at this. We are going to evaluate the average cost in this warehouse only, okay? So that's one of the advantages of the stock keeping unit. The other one I was saying, yes, we can indicate how we get it. In this case, we purchase and we have here the vendor number. You get it, it's not complicated. So you say, okay, here is where I want my item, okay? And then I have other links related to production as well, just how to use this item in this warehouse. But today I'm not going to review neither manufacturing, neither assembly. It takes I'm going to explain it after I review inventory if you want to manage kitting and production, okay? So you know it. Mainly we are going to purchase in our main warehouse. The second thing that I'm going to use is, look at this, the planification. Okay, how do we do it in Business Central? We call after we indicate that here we purchase, the second thing is, do you want to start measuring your capacities? This is what we call the inventory levels, okay? And this is the most basic configuration that we have in Business Central, because in terms of what we are going to replenish, we have plenty of different tools in order to calculate. Even we have artificial intelligence that help us as an assistant to work with this, quite more advanced, okay? But here is basically the basics of what we are replenishing. We can do the fixed reorder quantity. Let me just select even for this, where we are going to need, okay, what will be the reorder level or minimum level that you want, okay? Otherwise, I'm going to start now purchasing more. If you go below the reorder point, which is 100, very simple, right? Only reorder point is 100. The reorder quantity will be then just, I don't know, 20 at least, right? At least. But remember that as well, we manage different unit of measure. So that's as well important to mention for us, okay? So we want here, we need to review which unit of measure will be important for you in order to do this planification. I'm just showing just the basics. And with you as well, if you ask me, yes, later in the replenishing, we are going to show you how do we do the calculations. It might be pretty interesting for you, right? To check that information in advance and what possibilities you have you want to replenish in the future and make your life faster, easier, and more accurate regarding the inventory levels. Maximum quantity is more or less the same, but in this case, I'm not going to get a reorder point only, but as well, I'm going to limit my capacity. I can only handle 200 items in this warehouse, okay? That's what we call the maximum capacity only. It's very easy, as you can see. Then I have, by the way, order modifiers. This is well an option if you want to handle it. Minimum order will be 10, okay? So whenever the replenishing system start configuring something for you, a new purchase order, at least is going to order 10, okay? At least. And the maximum order will be 50, okay? So if I want the maximum inventory will be 200, then I'm going to create different purchase orders, each one 50 units maximum. This as well might be the capacity of the vendor as an example, okay? So if you understand this part, what we have is basic inventory levels that might be oftenly used or not. Actually, I don't implement them oftenly, just the basics. This will be maybe for, let me explain you. a black shoe, white t-shirt, a telephone or a smartphone that is the black one, okay? I know that those type of items always sell. If you work in hardware, maybe screws, right? If you are in the food industry, well, one of your items or a group of items are always selling. Okay, that's where we use the inventory levels, fixed and maximum quantity. Okay, this is the standard business central that I'm showing today. And then we have the order and lot for lot. Okay, let's go to the action. Order will be just checking my orders, and immediately what I sell, let's just start purchasing it. And lot for lot is going to be the coming from the basic and standard business central, the most advanced, or the method that we implement most of the time for our items. When you at least want to run the replenishing process with the standard functionality, lot for lot is going to review your demand, how many purchase orders you have coming, right? And if we met on time, all right, the supply corresponds to the demand on time, we are not going to create purchase orders. Otherwise, we are going to either purchase or transfer, okay? So that's up to you. I'm going to leave, for instance, yeah, maximum quantity is not a problem. You get the idea. Through the stockkeeping unit card, we are going to indicate if we purchase, if we transfer, right? And then the maximum capacity in this, or inventory levels, remember this? Or order, right? Just I recommend the order one for expensive items, right? So we sometimes have a very expensive electronic device, right? So as soon as we sell it, immediately purchase, okay, like for like. And lot for lot reviews, once again, your sales and your demand, okay, in order to purchase. So the stockkeeping unit contains all this basic information. We have more, but for now, we're going to just leave it with the basic. The idea is inventory levels to purchase, okay? Very good. Not only that, guess what? I need to create a new stockkeeping unit, but where I'm going to be, now, let me explain you. I'm going to create a new stockkeeping unit for another warehouse where I'm going to be transferring the items. So I'm going to move it to the north in Detroit, in this example. I'm going to create the stockkeeping unit. And when I see that, so I can start to work. My second stockkeeping unit, where I'm going to indicate, okay, in this actual warehouse, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to purchase, I'm going to transfer, okay, transfer in this warehouse. Okay, you get the idea. So in this, I'm not going to require a vendor. This is what the actual replenishing system verifies. I'm going to transfer, but important to mention, once I indicate that part, I want to know from where I should be then transferring, okay? So in this case, I will be selecting the main warehouse, and I'm gonna need a transfer route. Remember that we saw this? Okay, I want to select, I have created a new warehouse. Let me explain you once again what is the transfer route. One second, let me get rid of that error. What I want to say that this new warehouse is very small, okay, super small for me, and I will be transferring items from the central warehouse to this item automatically. So how am I going to do it, and how do I tell to Business Central? I create for that a transfer route. So I have different warehouses. Look at this: the east, the main, the north, the input. For manufacturing, remember that I have a store, a West warehouse, and WMS, a lot of warehouses. I'm a wholesaler, but at least I have one store, correct? And as well, I have in the north a very small warehouse. The idea is that how are you, Noé, going to transfer from the main warehouse to the north this item? Do you want to use your own truck or your own logistic, or you want to hire and pay for outsourced logistics? Since I'm working currently in Miami, okay, this is where am I located, and Detroit is very far from my location, okay, I cannot use my truck. Also, my logistics, imagine just to pay for that, okay, for a hire a own logistic team, okay, it's up to you. What I want to say now in Business Central, either if it's very far, you could actually use the actual outsourced logistics. It's not a problem. When we are going to hire DHL, FedEx on logistics in this example, right? So in this case, I want to use DHL and I want to go with the standard delivery because I have urgent or overnight in one day. Okay, so it's up to you. You make the negotiations, but guess what? What am I showing this concept? Because in Business Central, we can integrate with all of these providers, DHL, FedEx, all of that. If you're required to send packages, we integrate with Business Central while you scanning your warehouse. We integrate with these suppliers so you can get your label, your shipping label with the actual rate that they charge for the service overnight or standard. They have different prices to send items, correct? So this is important to mention because we are going to then add more costs, okay? So outsource logistics, if I want to send my items, look at this matrix from the main to the north or Detroit warehouse, okay? And in Business Central, we do this matrix, we connect our different warehouses in order to indicate for some routes, I need to use outsourced logistics, okay? For other type of, for instance, from the main warehouse to the store number 1, I can see that here we have the truck 1. So we basically indicate what we want and how we want to transfer it, okay? And this is all controlled by the stockkeeping unit and the transfer routes. Then, in order to just complete my configuration, what I'm going to do is just move my actual item, transfer it from the, here is main warehouse, okay? Let me see, I think that I have configured it, or I have a bug. Let me just this request to check only. Transfer routes. Yeah, is north and main. I think that I have a bug. Let me see. Just reopen it. Here it is. Yes, I believe that I have a bug that is not updating here. Sorry, this is only for the demo, right? I'm connecting with Azure, within Azure, that might be giving me an issue. Let me then try to connect my main warehouse here in this section. I'm going to do it all the way around, but I'm going to use now, once again, outsourced logistics, DHL, and overnight urgent deliveries to this warehouse, okay, nothing else. And well, all of this was just configuration. Let's just see in action. This is the actual process that is required only. Okay, so what do we have here is that we are indicated that we actually purchase in one main warehouse, but then later some warehouses might require additional transfer processes, okay, automatically for us. Even though I'm using the most basic type of inventory levels, remember this, okay? For now, what I'm trying to focus is how do we create the network, not yet the actual replenishing quantities. For that, I would need history to show you final calculation. This is just a single item that I will be providing for the first time. But remember, we are going to need to know the concept of the stockkeeping unit card. Very simple there. Okay, so we have one item, the Heineken beer, and you are going to need to indicate then where you purchase, where you receive, where you assembly, where you do anything, right? We help you with that. Take the idea that we are going to ask you if we implement the replenishing process, information about where you purchase and where you sell, basically. So this is it, okay? Nothing complicated at all so far. The idea is that whenever we want to start working with the Heineken beer that where we currently have zero units in the physical inventory, okay, we are going to now, so to speak, run the requisition worksheet, okay? This is already pre-configured, but what is a requisition worksheet? Actually, is going to be the automation that Business Central uses in order to, maybe your employees want to ask for items, right? And we need basically one single page where everything is currently calculated in front of us, the universe of our requirements in our company. And this is what we call the requisition worksheet. I'm just going to use this function in order to then calculate my plan. Look at this, calculate my plan. This is what I want to do now. And this is going to verify, okay, what you want to do, which is basically just give me the suggestions for the required inventory. Let me see my license date. Okay, which is the 1st of July. Okay, I'm going to need to travel to the future a little because currently my license is currently working on these dates, okay? But basically what we're gonna need to say, okay, I want to calculate my requisition plan, okay, until, well, what will be the starting date? It's up to you. I normally use 1 month at most, two weeks, okay? It depends with the time. We are going to verify through an implementation with you what will be your best model. Some of you purchase some items in 1 week, or it might require more than 2 weeks for importing and so forth, right? But the idea here as well is if you want to replenish for one single warehouse or all of them at the same time, okay? And look at this. Do you want to respect your planning parameters where you have safety stock? I always recommend yes, because we can indicate at least give me the inventory levels, okay? But the idea is that basically this function is the actual replenishing process that I'm showing you for the first time, at least just to present you what it does, okay? So it uses the items that we have created and the stock keeping units indicating where we purchase, where we transfer in order then to actually order that information, okay? And look at this. We have a lot of requests for, these are new messages. Look at my Heineken beer, okay? Apparently this item is handled, okay, is handled. And the idea is that I'm gonna get different purchasing requirements, and that's fine. I have 1 pallet. By the way, I can set it up to make to round these units because I cannot point. Well, normally I don't buy 0.83 pallets, all right? Otherwise, you can change the unit of measure that you are requesting, but instead maybe the actual 0.83 pallet is equivalent to, I don't know, 66, maybe maybe 10 cases, okay, or 9 cases maybe. So we need to verify why this conversion is done with decimals, which is not all the time suggested. But since we told the system that we purchase in pallets, guess what is requested, okay? So we might as well verify. But the direct unit cost is pre-calculated for you, telling you, okay, the pallet costs normally 120, and I want 1 purchase for this warehouse on this date. And look at this, another date is required, and then another date will be required in the future. So in December, in January, and then in April, okay? Very nice. So this is telling me that, look at this, I created, by the way, a purchase order, or one of my users that was seeing an urgency maybe, okay? He said, I cannot wait for more beer. I cannot wait. I need it immediately. So he created a purchase order that currently is being canceled, okay? It's being canceled because he only requested what he saw, only 100 units in his own warehouse, remember, in the main warehouse. But in this very moment, this is being canceled to order the quantity that we are really requesting centrally. So the idea of once again, the usage of different locations, different warehouses, And the stockkeeping unit that I mentioned you a few minutes before ago is because I want to have full visibility of all of this, okay? And after this, okay, I only, whenever a purchase comes, as well, a vendor is suggested. Don't worry, you can still change it, it's not a problem. And the vendor item number. The vendor call it HK0090 and so forth, okay? And this is a purchase, Okay, but as well, I have other requests to transfer. Look at this, okay? So my other smaller warehouses are currently being, I'm gonna need to replenish all these items, okay? So this is basically the entire universe. From here, you can focus on only one single item. For instance, I want to just verify only the Heineken. Only Heineken, tell me where it's going to be received or purchased. And look at this, I have some for some transfer request. Look at this, I have a transfer request of 50 units each. You remember that we defined that at most I can handle 50 units. Very good. That will be transferred to the North warehouse, okay? That's the idea, and this is a new transfer order that is being requested. Immediately you, as inventory manager, call everybody. Do you want this item? Do you want it? And just leave it there. But you can use this page, and I'm just showing you the basics, okay? I'm working manually. I'm just using Business Central with my basics, so to speak. The first time I started to use, I have worked plenty of years in the replenishment and supply chain process, but whenever we work for the first time, in order to understand, I need to verify that these quantities are correct, at least for my most important and most profitable items, okay? So you can check this, and if this is okay, you can leave it. Or if you know that I'm not going to actually send it for now, okay, currently, for instance, this is telling me I want 4 transfer orders to the North warehouse, each one 50 units. No, I have verified, and I'm not going to require the transfer order for the first, okay? I don't want it. So any transaction that is here that you really don't want it, please just unmark it. Okay, this is how we then, so to speak, replenish for the first time. Okay, and we use the basic rules, very basic rules, and here this window allows us to actually work with the actual basic configurations. For my Heineken beer, you're gonna get this result, and this is a lot of help. Okay, a lot of help. Why? Because in this manner, the idea of calculating your plan, let me explain you this, is because I can filter. I'm not going to do it item by item. Normally, I usually never do it that way, actually. Okay, but what I do is just verify by category, by even region. Okay, sometimes as well that's super important for me to work it. Critical items as well, we can classify, right, critical items. Look at this division code. This is one way we configure our items with division, category, type, right? Inventory groupings, okay? So the idea is that we normally look at this item category code. Take the idea, we replenish using functionality to group items by warehouse. So I could say I want one item category that, in this case, I'm not going to use only the beer, but let me see how we normally do it for you, everybody here. Okay, look at this, I have the beer. Let me replenish the beer. Just let's click OK, and immediately the item category code is going to be helping me to bring all the type of items that are part of this category. Very simple. And then you select your location as well. In this case, I have selected the entire world, but normally I would just first replenish my first warehouse in the chain. Very important to do it that way. Otherwise, you're going to create. The idea is that we do waves, okay? Waves of items that reach their levels. Then we can just then follow up with other type of adjustments is not a problem, but we run. I want to replenish once every 2 weeks my beer, okay? And you with the experience, you're gonna follow that exercise. Maybe you're gonna need 1, 2, 3, 4 runs of the replenishing process to actually get the inventory levels very, very tight, okay? So you get the idea. Now, the requisition process as well. If you wanted, we can adapt. Let me show you this. I'm going to now open my client as a tablet, and we have as well Android, okay? Because the inventory manager is always going to move among different warehouses. Well, let's say that at least you are the manager of your own location. So take your tablet and let's just start working. In this very moment, look at this. The tablet is showing us the documents, the transfer, the release production, the assembly, right? Inventory movements, all of this, okay? So once I get it, oh, by the way, my tablet is done, even though I'm using my mouse for the presentation, what I really do is use my fingers, right? Let me show you some of the screens. And this is a slice and dice, sorry. This is a slide screen where I can just check, look at this, my items as an example. Within the tablet, you're gonna be able to see this. Let me show you some of the functions, because while I'm in the warehouse, maybe, okay, I want to click and show my items instead of the pictures as a list, okay? While I'm in my tablet as well, I want to use all these items, but look at the quantity on hand, okay? I have a lot of items with 0 inventory. That's something that I can just verify, quantity on hand, reorder, ascending or descending, okay? We can establish substitutes. We are going to be able to know if we have items that we do as assembly. Remember, we are going to review this in the following webinars, but we are just checking the basics. The idea is that you as an inventory manager understand as well which items have basically an assembly bomb, okay? Very, very important, because we are going to be treating those items a little bit differently, okay? Because we are going to then use a finished product. Okay, what else we are going to review regarding on real time, the quantity on hand, the unit cost calculated, and your actual unit price, okay? These are the basics. And for the items that you want to replenish, please verify that you have a vendor, okay? The good thing about these dynamic reports, this is the simple item list, by the way, is that we can just change our views, okay? I have a lot of different views because I have a lot of different categories. And for that, you have your views. I have the imported goods, the seafood, the supermarket, even pharma items. So you see, I have then all these type of procedures, and I have just changed my view to show the supermarket, and immediately I only see then just food. Well, bananas, watermelon, avocado, peaches, I have 900 on hand, and so forth. So immediately I open for my tablet, and I have here my beautiful picture that I can open as well within my Android telephone, okay? I'm just showing the tablet because I think that the telephone is quite small. Sometimes I don't like it, to be honest, but it's there and it's really cool to work. Now, I was showing you, and I was mentioning a little bit for you in your management of these warehouses, that we have a forecast, okay? Here you can see, this is Cortana, artificial intelligence. While I'm on the road verifying, then maybe my warehouses, and I need to see the items, I have this forecast that can tell me, hey, look at this. The forecast for you, this item, is that in the following weeks, remember that I'm in June, and I have divided, by the way, let me show you my forecast to be on a weekly basis. The first week of July, the second week, the third week, the fourth week, and so forth, and then we go to August. I define it because I want to see it on a weekly basis. So the inventory forecast is currently 900. for all these weeks. So apparently I'm not even selling this item, okay? I'm not even selling it. So that's not good for me. Or maybe I just need to update my forecast, okay? Because we behind the scene, we do all this work for you. So it's not a problem. But the idea is that the forecast is just a single assistant that, by the way, look at this, there's no sales forecast, okay? Nothing to show in this view. Okay, this is not updated, but the thing is that we actually do so, okay, in the forecast settings, we do this for you, by the way, but I just need to explain you. If you want our assistant for this helps us to create purchase orders as well, but you need to define, okay, how often you're going to be purchasing this item, okay, because we are going to now define the period for you, for your forecast, for you only. The horizon will be the 12 months. Basically, the horizon is just to verify the future, okay? But as well, historical periods, we are going to need only 6. If you wanted, we can implement this for you. So you get this assistant, right? And the forecast, the idea for inventory forecast is that you can create your purchase order from here when it's required, okay? So seamlessly, at least for this item, look at this. I'm not going to create a purchase order currently because I'm just going to need to have a vendor number. If you want to use our replenishing or Cortana assistant, you're going to need to sometimes give some specific information, okay? Just to mention it. Okay, so basically, when me as an inventory manager, I need to attend the outbound, the inbound, where are my items, the physical inventory, all of these transactions, and we're going to see it in the following webinars, the calculation, how to do physical inventory, how to transfer, okay? But here, you need to understand your items, your stock keeping units. We have different type of locations, remember that part, okay? And in order to be able then at last to at least purchase and transfer your items on these different warehouses, then what we are going to do is just look at or dedicate somebody who's going to help us with inventory management. So the inventory management processor is, so to speak, verify. I have expected purchase order. Let's go to the inbound transactions and let's later attend the outbound transaction, okay? You understand that you as an inventory manager in an environment with multiple locations, you will be related to the planification, okay? So that's why you need to know these concepts. So now what about the backlog? First of all, I have expected purchase orders, 4 expected purchase orders and 8 arrivals. Let me just open the arrivals for today. The arrivals will be in one single warehouse, WMS, okay? And these arrivals, okay, are going to tell us, I want to receive one item on one specific date, okay? Look at this. And you have at most, your warehouse clerks are going to see this information, okay? Somebody will be purchasing, but the idea in the warehouse is that we do not know anything about taxes. We don't know anything about, I don't know, the cost. So for our inventory processes, we only see what do we need to do, receive. What was the origin of this reception? In this case, is a purchase order, okay? And here I have the due date to complete, then this basic, okay? 20 units of this item, okay? 20 units of this item. So go with your tablet, verify your back order. Look at this in another reception that has its own due date as well. I have all these different items, okay? All of these processes will be reviewed how they are being done because we have a lot of things to learn here. But you as an inventory manager, now what we are checking is your backlog. Remember your backlog. Backlog for inventory. We separate somebody's purchasing, and here in this screen we have our inventory requirements. And here is very important for us to remember. I have quantity to receive, okay? And then quantity received. All of this was already received. One, but we have an original quantity and the quantity outstanding is still 9. So what is going on here? We have a partial reception. What you have not completed on your side, okay, will be partially received and everybody can see the status of your work. Let me explain. In our company, whenever we work with these stockkeeping units and all of that, all of this instruction, they will be impacting our back order or our backlog for arrivals and for shipments, okay? We have different instructions that we see in the warehouse, okay? And as well, in the other hand, we have the shipments. These two things we need to review on a daily basis. They are as well completed. Look at this, or ship. Document status is currently in this example blank. When we have back order that is just document status blank, we haven't yet started to work with it. All right. So the idea is that you know the status of your documents. Okay. So all the documents or the back order that you are about to review will be by document number and the status. Remember. Just by checking now, once again, the arrivals. Let me see. The idea is that we need to verify the status of every document, if it was already completely received or partially, or we even haven't started to work. Okay, that's part of our back order. All of it integrated in the same screen. All right. And the same goes then because below you can assign work. Okay. So I have these arrivals. What do we do then? Okay. We need to start assigning internally only. Okay. I have this type of transactions for assigning movements. Okay. So don't forget. So we receive at some point, but then later you can tell any of your warehouse clerk, move here or transfer to another place, okay? So every time you create a document will be in your main screen. To receive, to transfer, to ship, write, and to receive, all of it. The idea is that you get everything here in one single area. Then, in order to explain, just to finish, the basic reports that we are going to be reviewing through our processes, I'm going to explain just a few of them. By the way, I'm going to now change from the tablet mode to now the browser mode, okay? We are working in the cloud. Use any browser that you want. It could be Edge, Chrome, whatever, right? And your application as well is going to be able to connect to different applications that we have. Outlook, OneDrive, we can download to Excel your work or even to Teams, okay? So another thing that we are going to be doing now normally in Business Central regarding inventory, we need to actually have conversations and reports and share reports within Teams, okay? Like in this example, Teams is just basically I need to connect, sorry, to as well provide information of my security. Okay, one thing that we are going to be doing is just, for instance, look at the information, customer labels, physical inventory, warehouse bin list. You need to know and get some basic reports to know where your inventory is, right? So for instance, physical inventory list as well, we can create a report for that. If you want to know the bin content, let me explain you, bin content list, okay? So I have one report that tell me, okay, you have items in your picking zone. The item is here. You have currently only 2 units, okay? So this is for WMS. One report, not only with physical quantities, but by zone and location, okay? The second report that I always recommend, well, coming from the basics, right? Is look at this. Now that you are understanding that we need to know at least the physical quantities, we as well have demand overview, planning availability, projections, sale reservation, purchase reservation, inventory availability plan, okay? Because you need to understand the following concept. Let me explain you. This report is very important, okay? Availability plan, once you understand the basic, multiple locations and the treatment, and we have the backlog, okay? But this is a very fast environment. So the idea of our items is that at some point you in the morning open the company, open the warehouses and so forth, and you begin with some quantities, physical quantities, okay? That's good. But let me explain you, what do we do here in Business Central? I'm going to need to verify, well, I have just printed one report that gives me the entire universe, which I don't oftenly do. But I check the inventory availability plan. If I want, by different days, for instance, I have the vendor Graphic Design Institutes, gross requirements, schedule, receipt, plan, receipt, inventory, okay? The idea is that, okay, I'm gonna get, let me just go even for my, let me see if I can get my, on the page, the Heineken. We were working with the Heineken, okay? Look at this, somebody set it up in order to have then a lot of inventory. So look at this, okay? The physical inventory in different dates is quite stable, at least just in the demo. But how do we read it? The Heineken beer requires to have always items. So we are going to print this report to see that in the different dates, we are going to, let me show you the structure of the dates, okay? In the future, beginning on July, which is my current date on this demo, I'm going to check the future, okay? How this inventory is being moved according to different criteria. First of all, this is the availability. This is what the salespeople is going to see. They see the physical inventory. Okay, let's see for July. Okay, the first column is July. I have all this inventory, but as well I have the plan to be received. Remember that we do the planification in the replenishing process. Somebody's planning now. And apparently these units are being planned so far, okay? 759,000, okay? So the idea is that this is just a planification. At some point, everybody is going to freak, or if they think they're going to create manual purchase order to purchase my Heineken beer, and even the planner, okay? So apparently here, the schedule to be received, we still have these units. Somebody already created a purchase order, send it to the vendor, and we are expecting to receive these units, okay? Very good. And the gross requirements is very funny, but the gross requirement is coming from the customer. Currently only 200, okay? If you want, we can connect here. The gross requirement will be the demand that in this case could be as well measured by other tools that give us forecasts, okay? Forecast, remember that, because this gross requirement is a real quantity that somebody is currently selling, okay? After this, okay, is when we are gonna get our full planification, okay? From here, okay, we have other additional reports that give us, okay, because the idea is that once you understand this type of information, the idea is that this is what the sales order processor is actually going to review in the end. Let me explain you this. Okay, you have your physical quantity, you have purchase order coming, you treat your items differently, different warehouses, a lot of complexity. You understand that part? What in the end, if we start implementing these tools, we are going to see? Let me just explain you. I'm going to sell now to one of my customers, random customer, through using a sales order. Okay, immediately I'm going to sell one of my Heineken beers. Very good. And I want to see the availability. Very, very important. Okay, so currently in the store number 1, the sales processor do not see any item. Look at this. So once you start understanding this process, right, or the people that will be then selling, for instance, in this case, I have my location code, which I'm going to change to the main location. Oh, sorry. One second, please. I got disconnected. We are about to finish the webinar today. Okay, so the idea is that we do not follow only your physical inventory. We have purchase order coming. Okay, other sales team is selling at the same time, or even you have a store, you have a POS, etc. But what we need to do all the time is to follow the availability. Okay, so I have, look at this, scheduled to be received 6,000, but I don't even have available inventory. It's not a problem. That is not a problem. Business Central, the idea is that we need to connect our supply chain to our demand, so we don't get necessarily surpassed or overwhelmed without knowing what is the actual availability of our items. This is what we want at the end. You understand the availability, the available inventory, that even though it's zero, okay, I can say, let's check the availability even though I don't have available inventory. You understand this? So this is even easier for a salesperson. What they will be seeing is, when are you gonna be selling? Simple as, I want to sell 1 unit. Oh, no problem. Look at this, before that date, on Tuesday, well, in this case, April the 12th, I'm going to have a reception of 6,000 units. Please proceed with your sale, okay? Okay, that's the idea. That's the idea. That's why it's this process that we are trying to explain some basic configurations to get to this point, okay, to be able to connect all of this. Of course, we need some other tools that are going to help. It's not a problem, okay? But in the end, learning the basic, why multiple warehouses, why different documents, why an inventory supervisor, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, is because we in the end want this. In the end, just for you, if you want to implement it for your salespeople, okay, let me just give you this bonus, this extra bonus. We are just now finishing. Okay, we have a function that we call promise. Okay, promise. It's part of your own planification, but it's one of the last tools you're going to be using on the sales side. In the purchase side, you have replenishing, okay? Manual or much more advanced. We are going to see different levels for that. For now, we got the order promising function in the sales side, which is in the other hand of the supply chain. For every salesperson that is creating or selling, they're going to have a special function when they're going just to need to input. When is your customer requesting your item? Okay. In this case, your sales, and if you want to use this function, we can help you to implement. The only thing that they need to do is, when is your customer requesting your item? Okay. We are going to input any given date. Okay. This is not a problem. This is going to modify all our lines if you do this request, okay? Because Business Central calculates for you a suggested delivery date. But if your customer wants another, okay, even you can promise, okay, that's a lot of then pressure, okay? Okay, it's not a problem. At most, let me say I'm going to send you the items at most on the 4th of July. And I'm going to promise that, okay? These are different dates. But Business Central works with that, so you attend your customer, and you as an inventory manager need to know that your salespeople is going to use these functions, right? And then in the end, what they do is just basically we automate Business Central to help us planifying with those dates if they are required using the order promising function. Okay, so currently we have one requisition to deliver this item, and if we don't have the item, which is my example, I'm going to need to run the function capable to promise, which is just going to verify what needs to be manufactured, to tell the manufacturing team what needs to be purchased, to invite you to purchase this item if you don't have enough available inventory and send you then this, right, as a message to you. So this can communicate to different modules, okay? So your sales people is going to indicate you and collaborate for the demand process. So I'm going to click on capable to promise. And the idea is that it's not a problem for us. The capable to promise function tell me and rearrange the dates for me to actually follow up the requisition. We are going to be, look at this planned delivery date is going to be correctly performed, the requested delivery date. Then this means that on the 1st of July, start preparing everybody in the warehouse. The shipment needs to be done and truck and the load or the and the truck needs to be loaded on the 2nd. And you can, your salespeople is going to indicate, listen, I'm going to be on your warehouse on site on the 4th of July to accomplish the promise. So we have 3 days, all right, to prepare these items and deliver to the customer. Behind the scene, this function will be used just in case we don't have inventory, even though in this case we do have, okay? But in this case, it's not gonna be a problem for us because we've been ordering my items availability. Somebody else is selling at the same time, and your salespeople is going to see, okay, even though I haven't even received, but I plan to receive 6,000, I have reserved a few items, and currently I only have this availability from the original quantity. Only this one will be available for me to continue with my sales. Okay, so that will be it for now. Hopefully this understanding of the inventory management can help you to actually understand what we are about to do. In our following webinars, we are going to go with warehousing, we're going to go with real replenishing processes to review our backlog, back order, but we are going to use these concepts that we have just reviewed today to then go with the more complex ones. So that will be it. If you don't have any questions, we have just finished for today, okay, our webinar. And well, just please verify then our Optimus website, all right, just to mention it. And thank you very much for your time.